Hello, and welcome to the proceedings. Folks, I got to tell you something. It's already interesting. I got to tell you something. It's already going to be interesting. This video is marking the return to peace, love, good vibrations, and what we're doing on this channel. I think that I caught the disease. We got to grow this channel, we got to do something, we got to you tune in to the you come to the watering hole. You These places, whether you think about it metaphysically, supernaturally, or whether you understand it as just that language as being metaphorical and analogies. We say hello to Mario Heat, first in the live chat, followed by Tim Frey and RMFN. Gold medal, Mario Heat. Silver onto the Tim Frey. RMFN getting the bronze. Jonocide, honorable no medal, but an honorable mention. And the consistency with which Jonocide gets those honorable mentions. The name is legendary. CW Chanter must play Baldur's Gate 3. Hey, the great thing about Baldur's Gate 3, we got Bucky here as well. Bucky, welcome to... Thank you, Bucky. Fuck over here, man. How many times we know how many I'm gonna just keep a tally. How many times did I have to go over to Main Street to be like, no, I moved, dude. I come by your place, man, and you never, David, Bucky, dude, I moved. We used to hang out all the time, man, and we come, when are we gonna get the band back? Dude, I moved. And what's up with Sheila, man? We never see you guys anymore. We broke up like 2 years ago, bro. I moved. You moved. How many times did I have to tell David Bucky, yo, home slice? And David, yo, and Buck Bright, don't even worry about it, because in the real world, everybody knows that I've been like, how many times have I been like to some real live homie at the show? The fuck out of here! No way. No, man, because the last time we totally updated our contacts. Fun, man. It's possessed. Now I got it. Now entering it in. David. Take a picture, bro. No, seriously, get in here. Everybody. Sheila. Yo. And it's going to be fun. Elephant in the room, baby. Mario Heat. Are you fucking serious, bro? Wait, you have kids plural now? Oh, glory days. It's the non sequitur. It's a complete jump. It's like Chat GPT, right? It's a train that keeps on going forward, right? It does not circle back. Mark Tarana, how you doing, baby? Mark Tarana, how you doing, baby? Quotation CW. Why it's Shrunk and White over here. Hey, Mario Heat, I moved. Yeah, just back in behind the alley. David, we moved. The elephant, come on now. No, seriously, Mario, we got some stuff we want you to see. No, it's cool stuff. Come on. That's some quotations. You'll love it. This guy. Yep. Take care, my friend. Hold on. How far do rabbit holes go? We're gonna do something here. We got the 40-year nostalgia loop. We got David Carradine. We got Michael Moriarty. We got Richard Roundtree. We got Quetzalcoatl, which gets the Mayans involved. We got pre-millennium tension. We got all the nostalgia loops, including nostalgia loops going directly to 2012. And we got the letter Q. Also, thinking about nostalgia loops so much and the crossroads of conspiracy theories. The name is spelled differently, most likely to avoid copyright. When Quinn the Eskimo gets here, everybody's going to want to dose. The song by Bob Dylan, covered by many, most famously by Manfred Mann's Earth Band. When Quinn the Eskimo gets here, everybody's going to want to dose. This is a reissue. I want to make sure that people know this is the Reaction Super 7 reissue, not the original. Elite Tracker. Quinn, spelt differently here without the Q, as in the original Bob Dylan song. Also remember, it was also the basis of a really terrible movie with Robert Townsend and I believe Denzel Washington. But anyway, Quinn, the Elite Tracker, file name Quinn, probably an alias, real name unknown, birthplace unknown. Dude's an Eskimo. Special skills, expert tracker, hunter, woodsman, speaks English, Russian, French, Finnish, German, and 3 Inuit dialects. Expert with rifle, pistol, longbow, harpoon, and plastic explosives. I abhor senseless violence. So Quinn is an Eskimo who works for G.I. Joe, the real American hero. But reason I bring this up is that if we remember back in the day, G.I. Joe, one of these perennial products from the 80s, the decade we cannot leave. Fashion is starting to go into the 90s with the nostalgia loop barely. The music refuses to budge. You go into any store in America, they are playing the music of the 80s, which is from 40 years ago. If you want a point of reference, imagine being a child in the 80s like I was and hearing the most common music to hear when you go into stores being music from 40 years ago, like music from, if we're thinking about the 80s, that would be music from just the end of World War II or during World War II. That would be like living in North Korea. I mean, it's insanity. And we've come to accept it as normal. It's bizarre. But the reason I bring this up is if you remember G.I. Joe and how G.I. Joe got crazy, they're fighting this bizarre paramilitary international force of evil called Cobra, right? This serpent entity evil from where? Remember, Destro is Scottish. Zartan is from Louisiana. And no one knows, I don't know if anyone knows where the Cobra Commander is, but and we know that Serpentor was the product of genetic engineering. Some sort of Illuminati kind of master plan of bringing all military, great military or dictators of the past into one, amazing super package. But one storyline beyond Serpentor, after most people had checked out of what was going on with G.I. Joe, is they went and were discovering who was really behind Cobra. And it wasn't Cobra Commander. And it wasn't some Illuminati organization behind Cobra Commander of humans. It were these like half snake people in this place that was kind of like this demented hollow earth, bizarro Shangri-La. I believe it was called Cobra-La, right? If you come forward to today and you think about the conspiracy theories that a lot of us were dealing with kind of recently, it's code, folks. Evil entities from inside a hollow earth, reptilians, pulling and controlling the machinations of power. With bloodlines coming together over the course of centuries and millennia, being tied together. Folks, it's not just that the conspiracy theories of today are replicating the mythologies that we were playing with or just getting high to when we were in college or bumming around in the 90s. If you look at the comic books with Aquaman and Submariner and their relationship to the they're always from Atlantis. And Steve Rogers, Captain America, and him being the result of a super soldier. It's literally he's the result of a super soldier program. This is modern mythology, and we've been raised on it and recycled it so long. We didn't have to wait hundreds of years or thousands of years for kind of M. Night Shyamalan's character, Mr. Glass's predictions of, our comic books of today will be the hieroglyphics of tomorrow, telling stories of superheroes that actually were or something. Well, people are living the imaginary dream now. If you look online, if you look on YouTube, if you look on Twitter and search for secret space programs, time travelers, where once you would find one or two, John Titor, the Great Gazoo, whatever, some sort of, alien contactee, channeler, one, that you could focus on. Now, like broken beer bottles on the edge of the road after the festival. Don't make much of an impact today. But it is what it is. And we can have our fun with it. I believe I lost my way on this channel and went from, at one point I was having my, a good time. We were doing the SSP, TTT, the meta RPG. We were exploring, our vision for solo RPG and getting out there and being esoteric and being ourselves with it. But somewhere in that search to find a balance between doing our thing and having our fun, but also trying to, get do what we could to get other people involved. So I made videos that addressed various other shenanigans and BS in the larger, to call it that, TTRPG community. And I think I got into that where the only thing that I started doing was that. And if I look at my channel over the past couple of weeks, that I see that there was this, kind of, at one point we were just doing the cut ups and the meta RPG and that. And then all of a sudden I was just doing kind of traditional, grievances about, conserva bros and TTRPG and we're just, bullshitting and whatever. Which is fine. We get here, through the journey. It's not, I'm not really, being like, oh, we lost our way, But when I think about, what is kind of groovy and good and what is of service to myself and what kind of, I think is, encourages the best. It's probably not doing, this kind of, this traditional, YouTube, Google, Alphabet Company bullshit game of, let's just, engage in, this, primate behavior of talking talking to talk about what's being talked about, which is usually just, gossip and stupidity and silliness that amounts to nothing about anything, because these controversies last 3 seconds, amount to nothing, and are just usually demonstrations of people at their worst behavior. It is what it is. So when we were at our best and doing the SSP, TTP, TTT meta RPG, it was and is this process of trying to engage with this past material that is all around us. This ephemera of time. The year 1982 happens. The year 1983 happens. The year 1992. The year 2013 happens. And especially as we go further through time, more and more media is made. And by the nature of how it's distributed and by the nature of how it's preserved and how it's recorded and everything, it just stays around. And it's all available instantaneously. The naturally self-limiting effects of life, like the inability of a kid to buy every fucking CD or record that he wanted. Yeah, I mean, if I went into compact disc world as a kid, or I went into, Sam Goody as a kid, when I wanted to, get tapes, like the tapes that I had when I was first getting into metal and stuff, and, formulated my first, years as a music fan, like those, 10 or 20 tapes that I amassed, me and my friends or whatever, like I listened to those tapes, until they're they feel like mantra wheels, like they feel like they're ingrained in your head. And almost, sometimes now when I think about the physical copies of the tapes or the physical copies of the albums, like particular aspects of particular, if the tape is cracked in a specific way, you remember oh yeah, my copy of Appetite for Destruction, the tape case is broken. So it's when you open it up, this shelf, this half of the shelf just come off like a casket. So it's it's symbolic. You know what I mean? It doesn't open like that. It doesn't latch. It's just put it on, put it off with, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. This guy, it's your copy. Hey, yo, that's my copy of Appetite for Destruction, bitch. Put that back in that milk crate. I'm still fucking the other dude. Fuck you. That's my copy of Appetite for Destruction. I don't even know if I should be cursing as much as anyway. I'm not monetized, whatever. Anyway, I'm not monetized. You can check me out on Patreon. I'm actually trying to do shit on Patreon again, but then again, I gotta stop telling on myself. I'm constantly consistent. Don't lie. I can't lie. I'm really trying, folks. check out my Patreon. I don't have any tiers, so if you join at like $1, the minimum amount, you get whatever is going on there. So it is what it is. Anyway, so, but dealing with all this ephemera that's around us, like, and it's more and more every day. Like, like they made X amount of horror movies in 1982. X amount of them got preserved. X amount of them got transferred onto digital. X amount of them are available on streaming services, whatever. I can tell you, if you go to any streaming service that you're part of, that you can see, like, or you can like go like see all the video. Like, if you go to like Vudu has one, I think it's called, yeah, Vudu is maintained by, I think, Fandango or whatever. If you go, you can search by movies for like year, and you can go like see the brackets by year, and you can see like if you go from the bottom to the top, you can see that it'll take you like X number of like seconds to get through all the movies that were in the 80s. And from like 2000, 2010, it'll take you like a minute. But then holy shit, when you get to like the 2000s and 2020s, just to get from like 2000 to 2001, you'll be like scrolling for like 15, 20 minutes. Because everyone's got a DVD video camera, and everyone's out here with their GoPro, and everyone's out here making like, what is like a B movie? Like, what is the bottom line for what people are willing to put on streaming services like Amazon Prime, and like a lot of these like places, like you'll see like I love trash cinema, right? So you check out Tubi, you check out that Voodoo thing I just mentioned, you check out like Amazon Prime. There are things there where you're like, this is a home movie, and it's like they're not even calling it a found footage movie. They're not acting like this is a found footage movie that's supposed to look like a home movie. They're acting like they had credits at the beginning. They're acting like this was a movie, but you're sitting there going, "This is a fucking joke." Like this, like so. What they made this for a church, and then you'll get to the end, and you're like, "Oh shit!" Like, and then you're like, "How the fuck did this end up on a fucking streaming service like it was a movie?" But there it is. So the past never goes away now, and everything's immediately accessible. No kid has to worry about, oh, I could only buy this many tapes when I go to the CD store. I have to make a choice between whether I buy, Minor Threats, that CD, or whether I get, Gorilla Biscuits, or whether I get, Metallica's, Kill 'Em All, or whether I get, Killing Is My Business and Business is Good, or if I'm going to get Killing Is My Business and Business is Good, with my allowance this week, and I'm just going to, bide my time. I'm going to listen to that record. I'm going to listen to that tape. Maybe it wasn't the best, but, I'm going to wait. And then next week I get back and I go with, I'm not going to get a debut this time. I'm going to go with, Peace Sells. And you take your time and you're spent, and because you're limited and you can't buy everything. And if you buy a free jazz record this week with your, money that you got from college, whatever, you can't buy a thrash metal record that week, which means that naturally you end up spending time with the shit you have. And the same thing with books and everything else. And movies and stuff. And like when it's just, you and whatever cable service you have, and you're not a TV idiot where you'll just watch anything, then you do things like go out more or whatever. And then also, the movies that you can find on DVD that you can afford, like, oh shit, you have like a relationship with that movie or whatever, because you end up watching it more. But how you can develop a relationship with any movie when you've got every single movie that's available? So, part personal, kind of dealing with this endless amount of nostalgia that's around, and trying to find some organic way to create something new and real out of it. Trying to experiment with this concept of what it means to play solo RPGs, and exploring this notion of, if we're all just in our own headspace and doing it, then we can truly get loose with, where is the game occurring? Is it occurring with some sort of avatar in some sort of, tabletop space or some sort of imaginary headspace? Or can we use this fluid metaphorical aspect of imaginary play to do other things and go into other schools of thought, like esoteric schools of thought, like magic, and making change in accordance with one's will, if such a thing is possible. Whether such a thing is possible only after one has lost their mind, for good or for bad, depending on one's perspective and point of view, I suppose. Or whether such a thing is possible simply because that is not the supernatural nature of things, but that is merely the natural nature of things, that science as it exists today either does not comprehend or has not connected its disparate points to comprehend or understand, or just merely some of it is not understood. Remember, more and more, certain things that seem like science fiction when quoted by certain people who may or may not fully understand the concepts, for all those stories that we hear about, Deepak Chopra misquoting, quantum physics or whatever, there are instances of Neil deGrasse Tyson talking to, people that he respects or regards, and they say some shit that is just like, oh, we looked at the edge of the universe and it resembles computer code. Well, alrighty then. I mean, what do you want from me? And with that in mind, we, in the meta RPG, we had this concept of spell generation, where in watching old media as part of a larger mental and esoteric practice of time travel, and you can go to the videos about meta RPG practice and meta RPG game on this channel to get more about the time travel aspect of it. But looking at a particular piece of media that you are honing in on, there's a methodology where we gather from it and we take from it what we call spells. Something jumps out, a visual trope, a visual impact, something amazing, something hysterical, a cliche, something beyond planet stupid, and we find some way to textualize it, to write it down. And that becomes a spell that can be used, and used but once. So every time you watch a particular piece of media, you could generate amazing spells from particular amazing things that may occur in that movie or that album or whatever. But knowing that every particular watching, every particular experiencing of that film, piece of media, book, or whatever, that every time you saw that thing and generate that spell or whatever, you generated but that once. Knowing that you could, any particular aspect of a piece of media might generate any number of given spells. And that you could see a visual cue and articulate it or record it one way one time and other ways other times. We've talked about spells, and these rules are not necessarily ironclad. And I'm laying them out for a very specific reason, because what we're going to go into regarding Q, the Winged Serpent, a movie from 1982, Q, the Winged Serpent from 1982. Remember, Quinn the Eskimo, when Quinn the Eskimo gets here, everybody's going to want a dose. Works for G.I. Joe, which is a secret American. He's an American hero, but they're not the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines. So, and they battle another secret organization with ties to an underground reptilian organization that live inside the Hollow Earth. Quinn the Eskimo, the song was written by Bob Dylan, who first got the Beatles high. There are allegations that the Grateful Dead were linked to the CIA, and the spread of LSD to the hippies and the Grateful Dead music, with its la 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 rather than its pointed political messages, was part of a CIA COINTELPRO plan to, disengage the hippies and make them less serious and dope them up and, get them stupid. G.I. Joe was part of a series of, media products and toys for kids that was rolled out at a very specific time in America where it was legal to make basically 30-minute commercials to do what? Indoctrinate kids into buying products. The products were G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, and Strawberry Shortcake, and My Little Pony. When Quinn the Eskimo gets here, everybody's going to want a dose. Listen. One more touchstone. 1982. So here's a theory. So I watched Q, The Winged Serpent from 1982 that also stars David Carradine. I mentioned some other stars too. So Q, The Winged Serpent. Now remember, conspiracy theory, but now this is all, we're all playing games here. Remember, this is all a game. And we are merely players. If you choose to play. And if you're paying attention. Also, I will tell you, people should know, there is lore attached to me. I am C.W. Chanter, and according to some, I am evil. This is no joke. Accusations have been made. So is this disinfo? Or am I telling you the real deal? Duck, Duck, Goose, national champion. Tag. Q is it? What? Come on, we're talking about a movie. So I watched the movie and I did this spell making process, thinking that it'd be interesting because of, Q, the whole thing, and with, Quetzalcoatl and the whole thing, it would be interesting. And at the end, I didn't know if it would just be spells that I would use in some sort of related to, role-playing game rules from 1982, or if it'd be something else. And I said, when it was done as a kind of set of abstractions, as cut-ups itself, because we've been talking a lot also about the 23 Enigma, William S. Burroughs, especially now in 2023. So I reviewed it after I watched the movie and performed this action of recording these 55 individual statements. I watched the movie, and as something popped out at me, as something made sense to record as a spell, I did so. And again, a lot of this is personal. A lot of this is very, very, I wouldn't even call it esoteric. It's idiosyncratic. And it's personally abstract. But because of the nature of the material and because of the nature of cut-ups themselves, whether it's because of something mystical or whether it's just because of something related to art or the short-circuiting of when we hear language that's not exactly grammatically correct but is bizarrely close, it turns into a kind of art poetry. And it turns into a first level cut up because the movie, the hour and a half or whatever it is, becomes reduced to snapshots of abstraction. So whether you've seen the movie or not seen the movie, whether you've seen the movie recently or not seen the movie recently, whether you watch along with as I read these things or don't, the thing becomes something else. And like anything, any cut up, something else is revealed. And given what people know about conspiracy theories, something else jumped out at me regarding how interesting it was, given what it is. So I suppose after this, the next step would be maybe to put these words into a cut-up generator and do something with it. But let's not worry about next steps. We know that I'm not great about I'm great about making long-term plans and committing to long-term. This is going to be a 5-year endeavor. Step 1, we wrote down the spells for Q, the winged serpent. Step 2, we're going to take each of these 55 individual statements, put them into a cut-up generator. And then based on each of those spells in the cut-up generator, we are going to develop an individual micro-chapbook RPG module. We're going to play through that module as a group, recording our experiences in the nude. We'll meet at the end of the month to reflect on our experiences. Then, do the whole thing again. I think we can do this, folks. I know I'm not great at long-term things, but I think this time I think I'm ready to commit and make it all happen. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like my channel is littered with this is part 1 of tarot cards and workbook, all this shit, and nothing ever. You know what I mean? So we're gonna deal with this. So Q the Winged Serpent from 1982 as 55 individual statements. But check this shit out. Because we're talking about cut-ups in the 23 Enigma, the place of dead roads from 1983 by William S. Burroughs. First Owl Book edition, 1985. First published in hardcover in 1984. Second Owl Book edition, 1995. That would be this one. 1995 was a very big year for me. Let's open randomly. New York City, circa 1910. Concrete evidence of survival after death and reincarnation has given a new perspective to assassination. That is nuts. And that is on page 1. That's the first sentence of the first paragraph on page 164. New York City, circa 1910. Concrete evidence of survival after death and reincarnation has given a new perspective to assassination. Bear that in mind as I read the following. Mario Heat, obviously his remote viewing skills work. But now check this out. So obviously there were connections to possibly, we were talking about Q, right? And Q the Winged Serpent. Now check this out. As I go to tweet out this link, no shit. Okay? I can't block anything out. So someone, basically, I'll read it out. I go to tweet out the link, and of course I see notifications, and there's a post, okay, that apparently is from 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago. So I saw this right as I had just posted the link to this broadcast that we're watching, that you're watching now. So I was going live. I had set up the live stream and was getting to the point now I'd set up the live stream. So now we're ready to post the link to Twitter. So I post the link to Twitter and immediately see I've got notifications. I barely have any notifications anymore. So I clicked that there's notifications, and there's a notification. Someone has posted the following. The Q crowd is at it again. Arrests elite secretly detained at Gitmo Ascension. At C_chanters, that's me, Nostalgia loop theory is running 4 times fast, and there's a GIF of a clock. If you follow me on Twitter, I just reposted it. And I wrote at 5:42 p.m., you should check out the live stream about to start on my TTRPG channel. So, like, that was basically contemporary. So, as I'm about to go live with the video that I knew, ha ha ha, jokey jokey, wah wah wah, we're going to be talking about Q the Winged Serpent and yada yada yada, because of course it involves Quetzalcoatl and all this, and Q, it's going to have implications for yada yada ha 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 Q. There's someone talking about Q on the nostalgia loop. And this is from this movie's from 41 years ago, the 40-year nostalgia loop. Some people care and are excited by that sort of stuff, like me. And some people are just like, my God. It is what it is. I do this stuff because it's entertaining to me. Maybe it's entertaining and wild to you. I don't know. What I will say for the record is this. Compared to the lackluster bullshit that the people I used to lampoon and make fun of come up with, there is this stuff, the stuff that I do with this TTRPG, SSP, time travel, the coincidences that I generate, the dots that I connect, and I'm able to do. I'm not saying that it's anything quote unquote real. I just say it is what it is. But I actually, can be like, well, it's a magic trick, whatever. But I can at least show you something compared to what they got, which is butkus. The fact that, well, they buy their views, but it is what it is. Without further ado. And so I don't turn into, it's my party rant. Bear in mind what we just read about reincarnation and that changing assassination. Also bear in mind that right before I read that, Bucky said the following: that's wild, JFK lives. Tim Frey, Destro is Scottish. How is that man not a brother? That's not mutually exclusive. But he's old Scottish money. He's old. That's the backstory in Destro's. He's like McGrath Mathers. He's like old Scottish. He's Scottish to Scottish to Scottish. You know what I mean? But yeah, he doesn't have an accent or nothing. But hey, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Q, the Winged Serpent from 1982, presented as 55 statements. Shepard, the Clark Candy photographer, Fred. High-rise harassment for the one-woman shoe store. Spontaneous human decapitation at 40,000 feet. Whole body degloving while you sleep. Through the telescope, we are all voyeurs of the heavenly bodies. Grab to go gorgeous. Raining blood from a lacerated dame. Absolute horror. Cleaning bill nightmare. Raining blood. How to fail at abstract piano and voice. Voting with your jukebox. Wheelman is a very specific position. A series of truly unfortunate events in the wrong direction from the bag. Empire State Attorney at Law. Let's go where we're not supposed to, so as not to get the attention of the cops. The low commitment security guards of a bygone era. Seemingly compelled to climb ever upwards, the bizarro vertical labyrinth towards the egg of destiny. Bloody skeleton surprise for the interloper of crime. Sandwich quest ends with man meal. Foot traffic sans body causes human stampede, ironically. Rough trade pickups at the museum amongst coded language about feathered serpents and the giving of oneself willingly. Sleazy reading in short robes and amongst the sluts. Piano man drops in, rough and rude. A drink for the man who shouldn't drink at 22. They are not your friends at 23. Please take off your pants and let me look. Spontaneous acting for actors in the movies who act. Evil dreams of dead things. There are no eggs that big, though there was a hole big enough for something to come in and out. I am the plumed serpent. I fly and I crawl. Number 2, the human sacrifice theory. Take the wafer and drink the wine. That's what I call civilized. There was some sort of bird creature. What is God but something to fear? Mirror 23. Egypt, Mexico, deep in the interior of China, and then they became extinct. Another creepy anthropologist from Central Casting. Pursued by the creeps. Strange singing from the street or the soundtrack. Sacrifice thine enemies to the queue and be free of your burdens and shame. He who manifests an ungrateful attitude towards the greatest of bounties must be given to the queue. Just as predicted, his buddies tried to put it all the blame, on Douchewillow. Bird facts for brainiacs. This thing has been prayed back into existence. Another small-time crook sitting in lockup, thinking himself a king, driven mad by an encounter with the Q. Guilt trips and Rupert Murdoch name drops for the New York press. How the shepherd almost got his flock. A refusal to link the rebirth of the Q to the recent ritual murders came from on high. The NYPD machine gunned the egg of the Q god. Mime cops at the museum. A ritual sacrifice murder in 1982, if you can believe that. What the hell is the Statue of Liberty doing up there? He was coming for me. He was coming for me. Transparent attack kite of foreshadowing. Cueing the shaft and then dropping the proxy. The NYPD opened fire on the ancient sky god of yore. One more sacrifice is demanded. And finally, friendship remains, as does the egg of Q, the serpent of the sky of tomorrow. genocide ads. I remember watching Q on cable all day, every day, right after Beastmaster. I remember seeing like a full, like a quarter-page ad for Q on in the newspapers. I remember like always seeing. Me and my mom used to look for, we used to look at the movie times. This is like before the movie phones, whatever. We used to look at the movie times in the newspaper. So they used to always have those advertisements for the movies. And I also remember seeing the trailer. And there was one of those things. The trailer, you saw the trailer, and then when you actually saw the movie, it was whoa. Mario Heat. It's his beautiful song. My first point of curiosity. So when Q emerges, the winged serpent, who has no feathers at all. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. But given what's going on in today's world, but then when I saw the thing on Twitter, but check this out. The first thing, David Carradine. Not to be confused with David Carradine. David Carradine, December 8th, 1936. Why does that seem significant? I have no idea that through June 3rd, 2009. Okay. Remember, he died under circumstances. Talk about nostalgia loops. Q the Serpent God came out in 1982. The 20-year nostalgia loop for it is 2002. And of course, I must make reference to a movie that we talked about. Unfortunately, our conversation involved a member of our community that is unforgivable. But now I'm blanking on the movie. It's with the dragon movie from the London Dragon movie. What was it? Where the God, what's the name of that actor? Shoot. The guy likes to play bongos in his drawers. Rain of Fire. Thank you, Bucky. Rain of Fire. But the perfect 40-year nostalgia loop for Q the Winged Serpent, of course, brings us to where? It's 2012. So we have a Mesoamerican, right, sky god that's coming back, having been resurrected by the prayers of the pagan New Age practitioners of modern times. Direct analogies can be drawn. You can call it a stretch if you want to, but I'm here stretching. We're here talking. And unlike some people who are going to try and sell you something like they've got the guaranteed answers, I'm here telling you, look, it's you know what I mean? Like, it is something that I'm interested in. I think there's aspects of it that are true, but look, I mean, it's P.T. Barnum to the degree that it's P.T. Barnum. But to the degree that it's P.T. Barnum doesn't mean that it's not real. There's a direct correlation between the people that got popular with the rush up to 2012 and the people that were the ground layer, the ground foundation for the entire New Age, the entire aspect of the New Age community that did that bizarro right wing, patriot flip to Donald Trump and QAnon without, like, almost on a one-to-one basis. David Wilcock, Project Avalon, and Kerry Cassidy, all those people, they did not exist, prior to 2012. Really. I mean, they existed, but you know what I mean? 2012 and the rush up to 2012, the build up to 2012 and the immediate aftermath, that's what generally built all of that. I mean, it had predecessors, you know what I mean? Like, it builds up over time. You have Alex Jones and David Icke coming out of, 2001 and laying the groundwork. But without a doubt, it was the positivity of 2012 that led to ultimate frustration when people didn't turn into beings of pure angel light that was able to be exploited, just like a lot of the anger about oh, here's some English Kabbalah values for Q the Winged Serpent. I got this from an perverted, demented affiliate on the left-hand path. Fear for your child. Q plus Winged Serpent equals 232 equals blasphemy against all gods, manifestation logos, arisen to the palace. Q, the Winged Serpent, resides where? At the top of the Empire State Building. Notice that I recorded as a spell at number 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Where is it? Empire State Attorney at Law. Q lived on top of the Empire State Building. Wait, hold on. Because now hold on. Because if we're talking about I'm looking at Rudy Giuliani. I'm fishing. Well, he was the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York from 1983, started in 1983. The year after Q, the Winged Dragon, Winged Serpent, was rocking and rolling. Let me see. I want to see this because I wanted to see if he ever had an office at the Empire State Building, because we know that he had an office. Stupid at the Giuliani was arrested on August 23rd, 2023, and a mugshot was released. That was my birthday. Oh, okay. There you go. What was this? His father died. What is this? Hold on. His father's involved in the mafia. He died in 1981. Oh, geez. Wait, where am I going? I apologize for the dead air. Hold on. Okay. This is a long way to go for the possibility. I'm like searching for the possibility that he might have had an office there. That's a long way to go. Let's just say that it led us to the fact that he had that he was arrested on my birthday. We'll leave it at that. That's good enough, right? The circuitous thing. Winged Serpent equals 213 equals my chosen and blessed law. Write your own code. Quetzalcoatl equals 143 equals snake of light, O winged snake, mightier, worshiper, your pride, things sacred, this is the law, terrible, the messenger. Folks, it's there if you want it to be there. Barry Collins says, great Patreon the other day. Thank you for that endorsement. Hey, it's an endorsement. Okay, well, it's not endorsed, but it's there. David Wilcock now selling books about what the Archangel Michael told him in 1999 because he never brought up before with his dream journal, so it sounds pretty legit, right? Hey, genocide. Don't steal my bet. I'll make an expose video on you so fast. Well, I'll get around to making the expose video on you. But here we go. David Carradine. So here's where I'm going with David Carradine next. His last movie, I believe, if it was Kill Bill, was the last big movie. If it was Kill Bill, that movie was 2003 on the 20-year nostalgia loop for us. Okay. Of course, he's from this family. Where am I looking for? Oh, whoa. Hold on. Check this out. Despite an attempt to dodge the draft in 1960, Carradine was inducted into the United States Army, where he drew pictures for training aids. That Christmas, he married his high school sweetheart, Donna Lee Bett, while stationed at Fort Eustis, Virginia. He helped establish a theater company that became known as the Entertainment Unit. He met fellow inductee Larry Cohen, who later cast him in Q the Winged Serpent. So, the road to Q the Winged Serpent began in the Army, where he also faced court-martial for shoplifting in 1962, 20 years before Q the Winged Serpent. Donna gave birth to their daughter, Callista. Carradine was honorably discharged after 2 years of active duty. He made his television debut in 1963. Hold on, where was he? Where was this? We know where we want to go. Kung Fu. Kung Fu started in 1972. That means that while 2012 was on the what? It was on the 1892, was on the 30-year nostalgia loop for it was on the 30-year nostalgia loop for 2012 was on the 30-year nostalgia loop for 1982 for Kill. It was on the 40-year nostalgia loop for Kung Fu. But David Carradine wouldn't be there for 2012 because of what happened in 2009. It was an accidental death, right? Straight to video action films. Here we go. Let me go down here. Carradine enjoyed a revival of his fame when he was cast in Quentin Tarantino's sequential Kill Bill movies, Kill Bill Volume 1, 2003, Kill Bill Volume 2, 2004. Now pay attention to this, because this is what I'm telling you about the nostalgia loops. And Quentin Tarantino is a success. Is Quentin Tarantino a success because Quentin Tarantino is a good writer, is a good filmmaker, or because Quentin Tarantino is one of those people like Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller, who makes these hit movies that no one really, I mean, Quentin Tarantino, everyone goes to see, but no one's really sure if they like them at all. But they're unquestionably masters of nostalgia loops. All three of these people understand. If you look at the most successful mainstream successful entertainers. Mike Myers, when he was at his best, was a master of the nostalgia loop as well. They're tied to it perfectly. Their movies, you go back and their movies are tied to the nostalgia loop dead on. It's either 20, 25, or 30 years to the day of when the songs that are in the soundtracks, or when the fashions that are in them, or whatever. You know what I mean? And when they're not, the hits stop. And when the person goes out, when they get too old, when Mike Myers got too old, when he was the right generation to hit people with 1960s references, when 1960s references made sense because of the nostalgia loop, he was doing great. When he was past his prime and Love Guru came out, when it was like, that was Austin Powers worked in 2000, bro, or the early 2000s. And here we are. You doing Love Guru still? No, we're past it. See you later. He was like, I'm out. But here we go. Kill Bill. He comes back, right? Quentin Tarantino puts him right back in the movies. It's like almost exactly 50 years after his biggest success. And that's no accident. No accident at all. Okay, so that was his last movie, because Carradine's last performances include the role in a music video of the Jonas Brothers song Burning Up. Oh man, 2008. Oof. I didn't want to look at these movies. Crank High Voltage. Oh man. Posthumous releases. Oof. Including Dino Croc versus Super Gator. Oh, we got to see that one. Highway to Hell. Oh man. Here we go. But are they going to have like how he passed away? Here we go. Barbara Hershey, arrested prosecutions. This was a peyote. Here we go. This is marijuana. Here we go. Okay, pretty good. Oh, here we go. Death. David Carradine arrived in Bangkok, Thailand on May 31st, 2000. I'm reading from the Wikipedia article. All praise on to the people who contributed to the Wikipedia article. Fair use, fair use, fair use. We're just talking here. David Carradine arrived in Bangkok. I haven't vetted this article. We're talking here. David Carradine arrived in Bangkok, Thailand on May 31st, 2009 to shoot his latest film titled Stretch. He was last seen alive on June 3rd. But his assistant and other film staffers could not reach Carradine when they were going to have dinner and decided to leave without him. Carradine called the assistant an hour later, but was told the group was across town and he would have to make his own arrangements that evening. On June 4th, Thursday, at the age of 72, Carradine was found dead in his room at the hotel in Bangkok, and a colonel and other colonel superintendent of the nearby police station said that Carradine was found naked and had hanged himself in the room's closet with a curtain cord. Police said he had been dead for at least 12 hours and found no sign of struggle. Thai police suggested the death might have been from accidental suffocation due to autoerotic asphyxiation, since there was no suicide note and he was found with a rope tied to both his neck and his genitals. Thai authorities conducted the first autopsy on Carradine shortly after his death and stated on June 8th that it would take a month to determine how he died. Although a Thai energy attack. Although a Thai police colonel told Reuters now I yearn that the likely cause was asphyxiation. On July 1st, 2009, Michael Baden, the medical examiner hired by Carradine's family to conduct his own autopsy on Carradine, stated that the actor died from asphyxiation and that the way Carradine's body was bound allowed him to rule out suicide. So was that? Was he murdered? So we're going to the article on this is on Reuters. Allowed him to rule out suicide. What does it mean? I mean, I'm just looking at the article, see if he said it was not a suicide. The cause of death was asphyxiation and inability to breathe. Not why. Now, why that happened is still what we're working on. Baden told Reuters. Like cause was he didn't die of natural causes, and he didn't die of suicidal causes from the nature of the ligatures around the body. So that leaves some kind of accidental death, he said. The media suggested the Canadian could have died from accidental autoerotic asphyxiation in response to a question on that topic. Baden did not rule out that possibility, but he also did not say autoerotic asphyxiation was the cause. Huh? Let's see who that article was from. 2009. So I don't think they're still on the case. They probably wrap that up. Okay. This is exactly my point. So here we go. Mm-hmm. Always loved the claymation and Q the Winged Serpent, one of Roger Corman's best movies. I don't think it's a Corman. It's a Larry Cohen production. Sam Shadow. I still keep regular contact keys. I just haven't released anything in some time. We've got just personal talk. There we go, Bucky. I think Tarantino is successful because it reminds people of grindhouse nostalgia like cheap kung fu mafia and horror movies from the 70s. Exactly my point. Everything's referential. People like what they like, not because it is of a quality itself, but simply everything's a referential. Everything is just a reminder. Nothing is what it is. It is merely telling you to like it because of its ability to remind you that it is this other thing, right? Stranger Things points to itself and says, remember the 80s? Look, listen, the 80s horror movie, Dungeons and Dragons, kids in the 80s, and you say, oh, 80s horror movie, but it's like us at that age, and but it's something new to watch. And then you're told, this is you're nerds, and nerds love this. And before you know it, you're hearing and you're seeing articles saying everybody loves Stranger Things. Everyone's buying Dungeons and Dragons because of Stranger Things. And it's like, and you see it, it's like, who said this? They just released, someone released, I basically out of spite, the actual sales figures for the absolutely greatest of all time, best-selling role-playing game of all time, Dungeons and Dragons. They out of spite, people released what's purported to be the kind of basically good numbers for the amount of physical books sold. Forget about it. It's just nuts. The notion that there's some sort of that everyone's going crazy about critical. Everyone's going. People are just in denial. If you look at the stock market, if you take out, I saw this recent report where it says if you take out like 7 companies from the like basically the analysis of the U.S. stock market, it's like abysmal. There's like only 7 companies that account for this like ridiculous amount of the traffic, of the value of any sort of growth in the stock market, and one of them is Tesla. And that Tesla is just pure smoke and mirrors. And one of them, of course, is ABC company, which owns Google, which in my opinion, I think is another smoke and mirrors thing. It's fantasy land. Everyone's invested in bullshit. You know, and no one has any ideas, which is why we still have the new Transformers movies coming out, and then there's going to be another G.I. Joe movie. Oh, and they have an Exorcist movie coming out, where it's you can see in the new Exorcist movie that it's just this kind of baseline scientific, analysis of people get upset when we replace a white actress with a black actress. So what they're doing this time, we get two, Carol Ann's or whatever, the little girls, one black and one white. Fuck you, we're not dealing with it. I'm sitting there going, why don't they go full Nazi and just make it one white little girl, one black little boy? Oh no, but just do the. Hey, how about this? Hey, black little girl and white boy, and go make sure that everybody knows that the white boy is straight and we should be covered, right? Silly. And it's still The Exorcist. Banking on that people are going to go see another Exorcist. Like, anyone gives a goddamn about The Exorcist. Like, anyone's scared of anything anymore. So this is it. William S. Burroughs and the Cut-Ups. Naked Lunch. Look at what's on our plate. If you look at a piece of schlock from 1982 and you cut it up with your brain by sitting there and watching the magic moments appear on the screen, and you just write them down and record them and then read them back, guess what? Spoken word poetry that could be describing the dance of Donald Trump and Giuliani around the bonfire as it falls. Pointing out, almost it could be a roadmap of a 30-year nostalgia loop to 2012. Duh. It's all there. So there you go. So that's it. Other movies that I intend to explore in a similar methodology. But remember, folks, remember the quote. Where was it? That we went to when we opened it and did the bibliomancy. Q is prayed back into existence. Q, the serpent demon, is prayed back into existence by the practitioners at the museum. And we are kind of promised by the movie that despite the best efforts of David Carradine and the rest of the NYPD to shoot everything up with a machine gun, Q will return. Contemporary to Q, the winged serpent. New York City circa 1910, concrete evidence of survival after death and reincarnation has given a new perspective to assassination. I'll read further. There are ethical brokers who will only take on a case after careful inspection of the karma involved and selection of the victim's future parents. In some cases, death may even potentate the power of an enemy who can now operate through a number of carefully prepared receptacles. In such cases, the manner of death must neutralize the target. Strangulation and hanging are considered the most certain insurance against posthumous vengeance. Folks, you can't make this shit up. The Seminole Indians fear death by hanging above everything, since they believe the soul of the hanged man cannot leave the body. There are practitioners for every price and every purpose. Can I get a witness? 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 I did not plan this. I opened to this page. There is no bookmark. I opened to this page 164 before. I opened this page 164, noted it. There was no pre-planned. Can I get a fucking witness? I'm sorry. Hello, people. I mean, come on. Are you? I mean, come on. Licensed assassins are the new elite. Here one sits in a Rogers palace, having his toenails manicured while a boy mans the ceiling fan. I'm doing my Lord Alabaster number this week. He changes residences constantly. Next week it may be a French chateau or a townhouse in Mayfair. He is leafing through offers. He only takes certain cases. He's very exclusive. A Mrs. Norton to see you, sir. Tell her to go away. She wants me to kill her husband, and it's just too tiresome. Oh, and tell her she can donate her $2 million to cancer research. She's got the bad disease, and she's got it bad, in case she doesn't know. In addition to charity cases, we are also expected to do unsolicited and unpaid CW, community work. It's our contribution to the health and welfare of the global community. For example, the poisonous creepers who put razor blades, needles, and ground glass into Halloween fruit and candy. Let me have a look at that apple. And I've been going nuts on Instagram about people celebrating Halloween too early. Is there an index? Because if we can look up Bangkok, that's fucking crazy. That's fucking nuts. I don't know if we want to put. I don't know if we want to push, but I feel like there's something else there. New York City, circa 1910. Concrete evidence of survival after death and reincarnation has given a new perspective to assassination. Okay. And then strangulation and hanging are considered the most certain insurance against posthumous vengeance. The Seminole Indians fear death by hanging above everything else since they believe the soul of the hangman cannot leave the body. There are practitioners for every price and every purpose. Okay. And we had just read the thing about David Carradine and that. All right, so we're looking for, so we have to put something in the cut up generator. And we're gonna base it. We want to ask a question. We want to ask a direct question, and the direct question would be: Does this have direct relevance to the what? Does this have direct relevance to the passing of David Carradine? So strangulation. I mean, you look at it to see what the answer is, and it's on 164. So we could do I don't know if we should put this in or whether or not we should put things from Q the Winged Serpent. And I think we should do. Wait, we could either add 1, 6, and 4 together and then take that one, or we could take 1, 6, and 4 and put those That would be shepherd. If we do 1, 6, and 4, we would get off the spells. We would get shepherd the Clark, candy photographer Fred, grab to go gorgeous, whole body degloving while you sleep. Hold on 1 second. Think about it for a second. Think about it for a second. It was my mother. So what was from mom? So we could do that, or we could do the actual text from the book. I feel like we should do the text from the book. I feel like we should do the also it's like 7, 8, 9, 10. We could also just take number 10, which is wheelman is a very specific position. But you don't get enough. See, you need enough words to put into the thing. We could also take wheelman as a very specific position, and then strangulation and hanging. I like to pretend it was the CIA sending CW on a new mission. Hold on. We have to take something from everything. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. So I was going to go down the city of Compton. So we're going to do NYC circa 1910 concrete evidence of survival after death and reincarnation has given a new perspective to assassination. And then we're going to then what was number 10? Then I'm going to write in wheelman is a very specific position. For some reason, I feel like that is important. And then I'm going to have to cross it out because we used it. We put it into the machine. We use a spell. We expend a spell. Mark it. Yeah. Noted. I mark it in such a way that, if we have to, the historical documents maintained. And then we're going to go back to strangulation, because this was the thing that next thing that jumped out to us, because it jumped out to us that concrete evidence of the survival, death, and reincarnation is new perspective, blah, blah. And then we got this part that really knocked our socks off: strangulation and hanging are considered the most certain insurance against posthumous U.S. vengeance. Remember, our question is not, who did it, what did it. Our question is whether or not the finding of this quote, this information on 164 and its seeming connection is actually some sort of relevance. So we got one thing from there, one thing from here, one thing from there, then we'll go get another thing from here. So 164. We got 10. You could also do 1. I'm not so crazy about 1. Or 6. This Empire State Attorney at Law seemed to have relevance. Let me see this. Oh, but check this out. Look at number 16. Number 16 on the list is bloody skeleton surprise for the interloper of crime. Because we don't want something like that we don't want to. Oh, I know how to do this. Yo, this is awesome. I could even teach you guys something. Check this out. I have like a random dice roller that could do imaginary dice. So you could have like an imaginary 55-sided dice. So if there's 55 entries and I roll an imaginary 55-sided dice, it's going to generate a number between 1 and 55. That number, unless it's number 10 that we already used, will be the number that will be the one that we put in. So it'll be a random factor. So there you go. 3. Spontaneous human decapitation at 40,000 feet. I'm that's right. I don't think it's against spell check. No one can cite my method. No one can fault my methodology. It's pristine. All ready? New York City, circa 1910. Concrete evidence of survival after death and reincarnation has given a new perspective to assassination. Wheelman is a very specific position. Strangulation and hanging are considered the most certain insurance against posthumous vengeance. Spontaneous human decapitation at 40,000 feet. Okay, now we're going to cut that shit up and see if this thing has any. Our question is, folks, focus on the question. Does the data on page 164 of the place of dead roads that seemingly has a connection to the passage of David Carradine, does it? Boop. Concrete decapitation evidence, survival vengeance certain, specific of feet and to the reincarnation human. 1910, New York City. A is 40 assassination given. Very has strangulation death and perspective 000. Spontaneous insurance are after posthumous against the position circa most wheelman at hanging. So that was the first part before we cut it up, and then this is the cut up one. Concrete decapitation evidence, survival vengeance certain, specific of feet and to the reincarnation human. 1910 considered New York City. Is 40 assassination given. Very has strangulation death and perspective 000. Spontaneous insurance are after posthumous against the position circa most wheelman at hanging. Right? The more you read it, you start to kind of figure out, where you think the punctuation is supposed to go. Here, I'll give you this. Let me copy. So here's the cut up. What I like to do, so then I'll do this, is that I take the cut up and copy it. Hold on. Copy. Close this. I'll go to, where's this? This is it. I got like cut ups all over my friggin' desktop. It's not funny. That's not, I mean, I'm that's crazy. Oh, come on. No, we're not doing this bullshit with you. I hate Microsoft. I mean, this is just fucking stupid. Every 3 seconds, can't verify this, sign in. You know what I mean? I'm gonna leave Microsoft, and they've got nothing, no one to blame but them fucking selves. Concrete decapitation evidence. I feel like that's one statement. My stomach's grumbling too, so I'll leave here soon. Concrete decapitation evidence. Survival vengeance certain. Here's the message. Specific of feet and to the. Oh no, let's see this. Let me do this. Specific. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. So then you start to figure out how it can read. Concrete decapitation evidence. Survival vengeance certain. Specific of feet and to the reincarnation. Human 1910 considered New York City a is. Hold on, wait. How about this? I think this might work. This may not make sense to us, but maybe it'll make sense in time. A is 40 assassination. Given very has strangulation death and perspective 000. Spontaneous insurance are after posthumous against the position. Position circa most wheelman and hang. I think that's one line. Okay, so I think that's one statement itself. All right, so we got concrete decapitation evidence, survival vengeance certain, specific of feet and to the reincarnation. Human 1910 considered New York City a is 40 assassination. Given very has strangulation death and perspective 000. Spontaneous insurance are after posthumous against the position circa most wheelmen at hanging. Well, I think if you're going to ask me, Ben, do you think it's that says that it has relevance? that it's connected, that we've got to do. I think, look, sometimes you got to do a stretch and say, oh man, you got to make it work, blah blah blah. Look, but we were cutting up stuff that we already thought kind of made sense. And maybe I don't know how to do it. Boy, we're experimenting. I thought the whole thing with just find that was crazy. Remember, folks, for that to work, for us to get those coincidences, this book was written with cut-ups. So David Carradine is in a movie from 1982, and based on the fact that movie from 1982 is approximately 40 years ago, I use it as, and has the letter Q in it, I use it as, the springboard for this artsy, cut up little experiment. And then during that process, I open up, because we're connected to William S. Burroughs, I open up a book that's, kind of contemporaneous. And I just so happen to open up to a page that I come back to that talks about strangulation deaths, after we just talked about a strangulation death of the guy that was in the movie from 40 years ago, that we turn to the page from the book that's also from 40 years ago, by the guy that's saying, oh, by the way, these cut up techniques can predict the future. And why? And some would say everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences. We're studying nostalgia loops, and David Carradine is right on the nostalgia loop. And if there's an imaginary location where me and a certain former member of military intelligence might be said to have a metaphorical nexus of connection, where various parties might touch tips, I've never been to Bangkok, though plenty of people have asked me if I have. Bangkok is one of those places that I have not been to. Well, quite frankly, some places I'm concerned about whether or not I would come back. He decided to call these beings by the general name of familiars, which is a term usually restricted to animals. They were certainly familiar, and like animal familiars, attempted to establish a relationship with human host. His studies and personal encounters convinced him that these familiars were semi-corporal. They could be both visible and tactile. They also had the power to appear and disappear, rather like amphibians who had to surface from time to time. Oh, how I love you. I will not pull a tarot card because we have done enough experimentation and divination in the dark already. I not only say thank you to the people that we have borrowed information from in the spirit of fair use, those people who have generated information of a purely mundane, physical, text and research nature, Wikipedia article entries, articles cited, people referenced, named, not named. I thank you for your contributions to this entertainment, this fun time stuff. and having no professed belief in a knowable afterlife, but wanting to have respect and deference for those who have passed, and wanting to respect the sovereignty and integrity of those who have passed, I say, it is not my intention, nor was it my intention at any point, to speak on behalf of or make predictions or thoughts of any supposed meaning about the dead or for the dead. Though, if there be spirits to guide us positively in the spirit of gnosis and understanding and knowledge, that will be of service to all, including those that may be without bodies. No. Rock and roll. Give thanks, praise, and hosannas to David Carradine. Rock and roll. William S. Burroughs. Rock and roll. Don't forget, folks, when Quinn the Eskimo gets here, everybody's going to want a dose. It's a conspiracy that ties in together Bob Dylan, the Beatles, G.I. Joe, Alex Jones, the Hollow Earth, Peter Jackson, the Feebles, the Transformers, every snake ever, genetic engineering, the Illuminati, Bob Dobbs, Steve Jackson Games, people who don't understand humor or irony, and Walter Bosley. I got you know what I mean? I got you. Woo! Cue the winged serpent. Listen, I ate the sun. I am the one who draws you and brings you to glorious times. Tell the people, join my Patreon. That's where real shit goes down. Okay, and be here and be with it. Explore the meta RPG. Get involved. You know what I mean? We're doing it. Okay, have some fun. Tell the people, get involved too. You know what I mean? Like, get involved. Like, have some fun. Get involved. But get involved. Speculate, contemplate, question, wonder what's going on. Oh, and like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. I'll talk to y'all later. I love you. I love you. I love you. If no one told they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is CW Chanter. You know what I mean? Make a t-shirt, make a poster, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies about me. Told my enemies, what'd you tell them? Go to hell. What did we say about me? Oh, nothing. You want me to say something about you? Did I mention I moved? Listen, folks, till next time. Take a look at the description box below. I've got many other channels. Okay? And I'll see you on the next one. Until then.